Hello, and welcome to Book Reviews Kill, a podcast about fantasy, sci-fi, and horror novels. I'm Evan.
And I'm Chad.
And you're listening to The Friday Forge, a weekly episode where we dismantle short stories, smelt bookish ideas, and hammer out topics brought forth by the Book Reviews Kill community. And this week on The Friday Forge, we're answering 3 questions from our lovely community. The first question comes from my own personal TikTok Q&A section, which I hardly make videos on. I usually just farm the Q&A section for this podcast, which works anyway. So this is from a user named Void Salamander. Pretty cool username.
Yeah, Void Salamander.
And Void Salamander asks, how important is a good book cover? Will it sway your decision to buy a book? Absolutely not. No way. I don't judge books by their cover.
Never.
Not once in my whole life have I ever bought a book solely because of the cover and then not read it for years.
Definitely not. It's so funny because my answer is going to be extremely contradictory in that it's super important and it's simultaneously not important at all. Right. For the many years, all I did to find, because I didn't have this awesome community of bookish folk whose brains that I could pick all the time, and you. So I would just go to Barnes and Noble, literally window shop for a book, pull one off, go over to the coffee shop, read a couple pages, and then if I was like, I like this, I would buy it and go. And the book cover had a huge sway over whether or not it caught my eye or I took it over to the coffee shop to read it. Now, that being said, I have had some books. I have 2 of them sitting right in front of me. One of them is The Legacy by R.A. Salvatore. And the book cover
that's a terrible book cover.
Awful.
My God.
And that's supposed to be Drizzt Do'Urden. He looks like an 80-year-old man.
My goodness. Yeah.
It looks terrible. But then also, here's another one from the same series, The Thousand Orcs.
Yeah, and that looks amazing.
Drizzt just slaying a bunch of orcs, and it's awesome. So it's there's been books within a series that I knew I already liked that I hated the cover but loved the book. So I think it's really important for initially catching my eye, but then beyond that, it doesn't really have too much value. What do you think?
I'm all over the place with it. If I'm at a store, this doesn't really happen to me super often anymore because I've got just a gigantic list of stuff to look for already when I'm in a store. But I know typically before I started doing all this, I would do the same thing you did. I would go into a store, and if something looked really cool, then I would check it out, and it would at least go a long way toward me picking it up and looking through it. But it's different now. I mean, if someone explains to me what something is about, or if something's really, really popular, Fourth Wing is a really good example. I don't know, that cover isn't that cool. It's just gold and black lettering and a couple of dragons. It's not the best cover I've ever seen, but I had heard so much about it that I didn't really care what the cover looked like because I just wanted to read it because it was so popular and everyone was talking about it.
Right, Name of the Wind.
Yeah, Name of the Wind is
lame cover.
Not a very good cover. I mean, it's not terrible. There's a little mystery there. It's why is he walking toward that tree or whatever? But yeah, I mean,
towards that tree. Is he hot? Need some shade?
It just really depends, and it doesn't have to be super flashy. I mean, I think that the Court of Thorns and Roses covers, at least the ones that I have, the kind of pastel colored, red and green and purple and whatever, with just the writing and a cool design on it. That looks pretty good. I think that's a solid cover. It stands out on the shelf and stuff.
Or Joe Abercrombie's covers. Those look really cool, but I
don't think they're very good. Yeah, they're kind of
very simple. I think they're kind of cool though. They're splashes of blood that splashed up on the thing. I don't know. I always kind of liked them, but they don't tell you anything about the story.
Right, exactly.
What's your opinion of covers on the book? What do you want on a book cover? Let's talk about your book. What would you like on the book cover?
I mean, something that at least imparts just a tiny bit of information of what you could expect,
Okay.
Or something. What would be really cool is something that it did look cool initially, but then upon reading the book more, the cover makes more sense. I like those a lot. That's a really good idea. Those Joe Abercrombie covers are a really good example of covers that I'm just not a big fan of. I think it's too chaotic, and it doesn't give anything at all. It shows off a little bit. I guess the cover of it, the new editions of the First Law and Age of Madness and stuff, they do give kind of a rough, this is how sharp and edgy the prose is, and this is what you can kind of expect.
These ones.
Yeah, I don't know. That's fine. It doesn't look terrible. It's kind
of cool though. They look kind of dirty, and I said, they look
they're
grimy
stuff, but yeah. I think that some of the worst book covers that I've seen, the Song of Ice and Fire covers, I hate them. I hate those covers so much.
They're
Like,
awful.
yeah, like the blue and yellow and green and red and white, and just like it's just like a weird symbol in the like it's just like a helmet, and or a sword or whatever, and it's just so lame. I just don't like those at all. I think that they kind of work for what they are, but
someone who regularly kills their cover game is Brian Jacques. The Redwall books have really
Redwall
cool
books
covers.
are great. Yeah.
So you get some like sweet looking like wolf rodent thing with like a cowl, and his little beady eyes looking out from under it. It's pretty cool.
I like the covers for the Mere Visitor books quite a bit. Like those kind of like those are also kind of pastel colored and kind of like they look hand drawn almost. I like those a lot. The cover for Mordu by Alex Phoebe is amazing. It's one of my favorite book covers I've ever seen. You should check it out. It's called Mordu, spelled Mordew, I think.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh, that it's like stenciled.
Yeah, like it looks like really awesome.
Stork thing, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of evokes like it's giving, as the kids like to say, it's giving like Mervyn Peake, Gormenghast vibes.
Totally.
That's what I see there.
It sets a tone for sure. It's kind of like a gothic.
Yeah,
like sort of dark. I really like it.
I don't know. I would say that a book cover will encourage me to buy a book sometimes, but it will typically not make me not want to buy something if I've heard about it. It won't dissuade me from buying it if I'm already initially kind of excited about it, but it will dissuade me from checking it out if I've never heard of it before.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
And like, I think it's important to keep in mind that some books just have lame covers. Like one of my favorite books, The Name of the Wind, has a pretty lame, boring cover. And so it's like, just keep that in mind as you shop for books, knowing that like it doesn't necessarily match the content. Books of Babel, those
are good.
They have really cool
I think
covers.
those are cool. Yeah.
It's all about the tower, and there's usually a person like sitting on it, using it as a throne or falling within it, and like it's just like really cool, meaningful. There's a lot of detail in them, but if you're an author, you need a masterful artist in order to do that. I don't really like books that have the characters on the cover, and if they do have the characters, I prefer them to be facing away, maybe like a blurry outline or something, or like put a cloak on them or something, just because I don't know, lots of times the face isn't what the face that I see in my mind, and I don't want that kind of set for me.
I fully understand what you're saying. I think there's one exception, and that's the old Star Wars Legends books. Like as long because it's Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. Like that's who those people are. So it's like it's totally fine. All of them are good, and they're all a little bit
Heir to the Empire and
oh my god, the cover for Heir to the Empire is so silly,
so good. But I mean, besides that, I don't really like I have an Aragon book that has like the Aragon actor like on the front. Like
that's the worst. The movie tie-in ones are the worst. I will not buy movie tie-in covers. Like, I'm sorry. No. I support the book. I support the author. I support the movie. You know what I mean? I'm on board, but like, I'm not buying this book. The first copy, the first time I ever read A Game of Thrones, the first book in Song of Ice and Fire, I did have the movie tie-in one with Sean Bean on the throne with like the sword in his hand and stuff. Oh, wow. And like that one looks pretty decent, actually. That one looks, as far as like show or film tie-in books, I feel like that's probably the best one. There's a couple of Lord of the Rings ones that don't look terrible, but like still just look kind of bad. And yeah, I was at Powell's the other day, and they always have like these sale racks, and like the sale racks are just where they put all the movie tie-in like fantasy books.
Oh, for sure.
It's just like, it's like, hey, if you've been meaning to read Fight Club for a while, this one has Edward Norton and Brad Pitt on the cover, and that's fine. But like, you want to read Fight, it's $8. It looks like crap. Like it looks like the movie poster, but like it's the book. It's $8. Whatever, you know. You could spend 18 on like the Palahniuk one that came out with like the whatever the cover. I can't even remember what it is.
Totally. The Malazan books have pretty cool covers.
Some of them do.
Memories of Ice.
Yeah,
it's like this castle that's under siege.
Well, the one that you're holding right now is the old edition, because there's like all these new editions of the Malazan books. I feel like the covers aren't as interesting. Like the older ones are really cool looking. Like the one for
this one's radical.
Yeah, that one's really awesome. Oh man, I can't wait to start Malazan.
House of Chains has like all these like huge dogs on it.
Yeah, that's
so
the
sweet.
Yeah, that's the cover that I think they used the same cover in a few of the new editions. I don't know, doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next question here.
All right, let's do it. Good question.
Good question, Void Salamander. Our next question comes from Kyle Cat, one of our wonderful Discord mods. Kyle Cat asks, what is one fantasy or sci-fi food you'd love to try? And that works really well for the BRK podcast because for some reason we're always talking about food on here. So
it's
good
just
question.
A foodie type of metaphorical place over here. I'm basic on this answer. My initial knee jerk was like, I would love to nibble on some lembas bread.
Yeah, but like it would just make you so full so fast.
Great.
Do you think it tastes good?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I bet you it like melts in your mouth. You're like,
But then it just fills the stomach of a full grown man so quickly.
Well, I'm not trying to like Hunger Games it where I have to like purge and eat more. Like I'm just trying to like, I don't know, food. My relationship with food is very much like I'm a sweet tooth and I love candy and everything. But if there was like a paste that I could eat that gave me like all the nutrition that I needed, as much as I make food metaphors, I'm not a very big foodie outside of my words, I guess, just because I would take that paste 5 times a week, just, because it's easy.
I wish if we were doing ads for this podcast, that would have been a perfect spot to like insert an ad for like Soylent or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
that
would have been.
People.
No, there's like a product you can buy. I think it's called Soylent.
I think
it's
so
like,
too.
Yeah,
it's like a joke from the movie.
Yeah, but they're just like, it's everything you need. Come on, it's like it's like an Ensure, but like I just never really trusted it. It's just like I don't know, man. I think you're supposed to eat food.
I know.
Maybe I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Maybe you can drink that stuff all the time.
Probably better than like frozen burritos and peanut butter milkshakes. So like,
yeah, probably. Maybe.
I remember one time we were talking about a mutual friend of ours, Dylan, and you were like, yeah, weird thing about Dylan was he puts ranch on his frozen burritos, and I was like, bro, I literally did that like 20 minutes ago.
Oh my god, it's so gross. I'm never gonna do it. I don't care how good it tastes. I won't be able to get past
what sort of food would you like to eat?
Well, it's funny because in the Discord somebody had mentioned an answer that I was thinking of, and it was I just want to attend a Red Wall feast. I just want to be around. I want to be there. I want to like shrink down to mouse size and just be a part of the
question,
whole.
Right? Are they actually smaller? Or are they?
I think it's been answered. I don't remember what the actual answer is, but it's out there somewhere. I know we can talk about it some other time. I forgot what the actual answer is, but whatever appropriate size I would have to be to attend. Right. You know what I mean? And I want like the roasted walnuts and the fish and the potatoes and just like everything. And I think that the atmosphere does a lot for how food tastes. And so I feel like food would never taste as good again after being at a Red Wall feast.
Surrounded by your family of varmints.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what food do they have in the Great Hall when they're eating in Harry Potter? And I was like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of like British food.
Pastries and stuff,
Sorry, British people.
Sorry, British people.
Your food is great. Your food is great. I totally finished everything I ate while I was over there.
This isn't very foodie, but like I would really love to feel the effects of a healing potion. Like drinking that and like feeling like healing energy like rushing throughout your body like to the tips that you're like, what? That would be so cool. Or like when Harry Potter drinks like what is it, Felices or whatever, the luck potion.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's just like
cool.
Like being on like ecstasy or something.
Yeah, like taking some acid.
Or at least that's the way that Daniel Radcliffe was acting in the movie. He was acting like he was on something.
Yeah, dude, he just took some MDMA and was like, all right, let's do this.
Going to Hagrid's house.
Give me my candy necklace. I'm ready.
But yeah, I mean, I can't really think of much else. I mean, it's funny because I feel like a lot of the food in fantasy books, like it sounds good, but I don't know. It's like in Song of Ice and Fire, it's just like a lot of like chicken and like potatoes and
totally
like, you know what I mean? It's just stuff
I always think of like the stew that they have in the campsites, like this thick, creamy venison, but it's probably like not good at all. It's probably like hardtack bread that you have to suck on for a while before you can even like chew it because they've been on the road forever. But I don't know. It always sounds good in my mind.
When I was in Germany, one of the first nights I was there, we were playing this bar and they were like, hey, we made you guys some food. Let's go eat. I didn't really know what to expect really, but we got in there and they were like, okay, here's your goulash. And I was like, I've never had that before. Like, what?
A goulash, okay.
And for some reason, I associated it with the word gruel. And so I was like, what are they feeding us? Fair. Like, what the hell is this? But it was delicious. Yeah, it was so good. It was right? It's basically stew. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of distinction there, but man, I was in like it was like a 600-year-old building. So I kind of felt like I was like a bard in a tavern, like eating my stew
Totally.
before. You know what I mean?
Goulash
It was
is
pretty
exactly
cool.
what I kind of imagine that they're eating on the road.
Very
with the stew.
good.
It's that
It's
thick,
very good.
creamy, like
Yeah.
big chunks of carrots and potatoes and
Totally.
big meat chunks. Like
Yeah, and like typically I'm not a big fan of
Paprika.
stew, but this was awesome. Yeah, I like distinctly remember the way that it tasted and where I was sitting and stuff. It was just kind of one of those meals. But I would really like Sam Gamgee when they're not starving to death in Gorgoroth. Like I would like Sam Gamgee to make me some food. You know,
Ooh.
whatever he made, I would trust him. Any food at the Green Dragon probably would taste really good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like
Hobbit
hobbits,
food,
yeah, they know what they're doing.
they know how to eat for sure. And like, I bet you, even though they're small, the portion sizes would still be very much adequate.
Gigantic. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to sample on some like mythical creatures. You know, like I wonder what like a unicorn tastes like, a little dragon meat. You know,
Can't eat a unicorn.
what if you
I feel like
died?
dragon meat would make you sick in pretty much any incarnation of dragon. there
or it'll
is.
make you give you magical powers, like one of the two.
Maybe. I'd feel bad.
Probably a little gamey.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like super marbled, you know, with like magic.
Yeah,
Silvery fire magic.
I would love to eat the and I think you're even supposed to eat it in Shadow and Bone. There's a like stag that you need to like kill and eat, and then if you do, well, no, you don't need to, but if you do that, then you'll gain like wild magical powers. It's like a it'll boost your own magical resonance, and I bet you that stag tastes really good.
All right, let's move on to the next
from Magic Stag.
All right, let's move on to the next question. That was a good one. That
was a good one.
I like talking about food. I haven't eaten anything today, actually. Now that I think about it, I just had coffee. Maybe that's why I'm a little shaky right now. I gotta stop doing that. Some days I just like wake up and I'm just like, all right, all I need is some coffee, and then it's like 3 PM, and I'm like, why do I feel like my heart's gonna explode? Oh wait, it's because I haven't eaten anything today. I've only had coffee and no water.
Yep,
so dumb. All right, last question comes from a community member named Octocow23, another animal. Octocow23.
Nice.
Octocow23 asks, if you had the power to bring any fantasy animal to life to have as a companion, who would it be? I imagine they mean companion in the sense of like just kind of palling around with, like
a familiar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Wow. Yeah. Give me yours while I think about this.
Well, I couldn't quite decide, right? Because there's two routes that I could take, I feel like, because as we all know, I'm a little selfish when it comes to like magical powers. And like, I always like kind of focus on like the what's in it for me angle. And my brain goes 2 places. One is something that can fly that I can ride, like a griffin or like a Pegasus,
right.
or
a
little dragon or something like that. But that's also like very conspicuous. And like I might be like shot down, you know, like I don't know what like F-18 Hornets will do if they see a dragon flying through the air, you know, and I don't have like the technology to be like interacting with them over radio or anything, so they can't be like, oh, sir, you're in unallowed airspace or something like that. And then the other route was like a little bit more conspicuous, which would be like some sort of like hawk or something that would just like be perching on my shoulder, making me look super awesome, that I could send on like scouting missions, you know, like Sparrowhawk or Lady Hawk, you know. It turns into a woman that I can marry at the end of my story. You ever watch Lady Hawk?
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's like a movie with this hawk is like a woman, and but it was like a spell got it changed into a woman. Anyway, so yeah, I think I don't know, definitely something that flies. I think
that makes sense.
Whether or not I can ride it or I have it, but it can fly, because I think that's awesome. Because I can't. What are you thinking?
So I'm a little. I have to attack this with a certain amount of nuance, obviously.
Of course.
So my first thought was Night Eyes from Farseer, but that's assuming that I do have the wit and I do have that bond with him, and we can trade thoughts. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, Night Eyes is kind of a dick. Yeah, he's cool. He's very smart, and he's a really awesome companion, and he's very loyal, and he's always there in the nick of time when Fitz makes a terrible decision. But I just feel like Night Eyes wouldn't really like me, you know? So I would like to have him around, but I feel like he'd be like, oh wow, like half a pizza tonight, huh? Instead of a whole one. Like, you're doing great, haven't you? Know what I mean? Like, he'd just be like, hey, when's the last time you went outside, man? Like, come on, let's go.
Isn't he a wolf?
Yeah. So he wouldn't vibe too much with like my lifestyle, you know? So
yeah. But I mean, you could like pass him off as like like dogs are very accepted, especially here in Oregon. You know, we have like parks that have like dog watering. So like you could probably get away with having him around, be like, he's my animal companion and my guide, give him a little like fake permit.
I think that there is really one resounding answer to this question, and it's Oi from the Dark Tower. You know,
Oh boy.
so I feel like that's like the best answer, and it's Oi.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I was like thinking like dragons. I was thinking all kinds of different stuff, and then I was like, oh wait, Oi. Yeah,
dude. But what about Guinevere?
See, Guinevere, I feel like would be the same kind of like you have to really think about what kind of person you are. You know what I mean? Totally. And like Guinevere really works with Dritz, but like how many sword fights are you getting into?
Right,
like she'd be so bored. She'd be so bored. Do I need
to like scout out an orc like tribe?
Right, but like Oi would totally come with me to like downtown Portland to walk around, and like he'd just be like Oi, Oi. Like he'd be totally fine with it.
Wingman of all magical creatures,
and he looks so much different than every other animal. You can't. I would take so many pictures of him.
He's literally like my favorite character in Dark Tower.
Page. Yeah, so I think Oi is the answer. I wish I had like a more like badass answer where, you know, like because dragon just it kind of reminds me of that Rick and Morty episode with the slut dragon. I don't know if you watched that. I don't know if you see that one. It's so
like good. Dragons eat like a whole cow. Every
I could feed Oi. Yeah,
pissed off at you. Yeah, and like it'd be easy to feed him. It'd be cool to have like a Harry Potter owl, but like
owls are pretty cool. Yeah,
I don't know. Most of the time it's in a cage, and like I don't have an owlry personally, so like it would have to be in a cage. And I think like I don't know, birds in cages are just it seems like it's like the one animal has the coolest form of travel. It can fly, and we put it in a cage. Like that seems not cool, right? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that with a lot of animal like situations like this, with a lot of familiar situations like this, it's like they're so glued into the context of the world that they're in that I would almost feel bad like ripping them out of it and putting them in my own, you know, like so I kind of like factor that in. Now if I was in a fantasy setting, that changes the question up completely. You know what I mean? Like it's like a whole different thing.
Orcs.
Yeah, if I was actually doing that, then I probably, as much as I do love Oi, I probably wouldn't take Oi because Oi helps. He did help. You know,
he's very intelligent, helps you find things.
Yeah, but like also, like, I mean, dragon or
right,
you know what I mean? Right, or wolf or whatever, like
Guinevere, panther.
Yeah, panther, a spectral panther that I can summon from the nether regions.
Yeah, that if you ever like in a crumbling tower, it can just like take you to the astral realm real fast and then take you back. Like you know, how many times that people get almost deaded in those books and then they don't because Guinevere is there to save the day.
There's one other thing. I can't remember his name. It's like right on the tip of my tongue, but the kind of like sentient skull from the Dresden Files.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what his name is. But he's like,
it's like
I've only read like 4 books, but I did like that character a lot. I liked kind of like how different he was from Harry and stuff, and just. Is it Bob? Yeah,
Bob
okay.
The Skull,
Bob. Yeah, Bob the Skull. I really like Bob the Skull. And
though you would be like every person walking by would be like holding up crosses.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I'd probably just keep him in my basement. You know, I'd keep him with me, and he'd be like my like personal like Chat GPT spirit skull kind of thing.
Yeah. You know? In Menzo Baranzan, they have in the city of the Drow and the Underdark, they have these lizards that are basically like a huge like Komodo salamander dragons. Almost. They stick to the walls, and so you like strap in your legs, and they can go up like the side of the cavern walls, and like they run upside down while you're riding them. It's so cool.
They have like infrared vision too.
Yeah, right? They see the infrared spectrum. Like that's pretty cool.
I just picture R.A. Salvatore on like his word processor in the early '90s, just like, and they totally can see in the dark.
Yeah,
like
echolocation.
Totally. Like, what other cool powers can I give this lizard? You know.
Oh man, they're so cool.
What a blast that must have been. But yeah, I mean, I think with because I really have put a decent amount of thought into this because I love animals and I love fantasy and stuff, but I think something with just like more than average animal intelligence I think just has to really factor into it for me because
you can be a friend.
And kind of that's why, you know, Hedwig in Harry Potter books I always thought was like a really cool animal, but like Harry and Hedwig, like they have like some like a little bit of a bond, right? It's like stuff, but it's like I always thought like it'd be so much cooler if like Hedwig could like weigh in on some stuff, you know. But
totally,
just like she's
being
just
a
like
carrier owl.
Yeah, and owls are
Like-
very, very smart. They're like the smartest birds. Well,
Totally.
actually, I think crows.
I think crows are, yeah.
Crows are
They're
very
really smart. But like, it's weird that they don't have some better form of communication of like where they can just like teleport like a message, like I write in this book, and then the copy that you have like the same words appear, but no, they give it to an owl that flies it around. Like that seems weird.
I know it's funny because like there's like a joke, and I think
can teleport.
in the fifth book when they're in the ministry, and like there's all these like memos flying around everywhere, and then Arthur Weasley is like, we used to use owls, but the mess was terrible. And it's it's like, dude, like how long has this ministry been around? How long have you had magic? And you just figure, like, because Arthur's not that old, so it's like what in the last like 20 years you guys figured this out
of the last like few thousand.
So yeah, exactly. So there was like at least 1,000+ years of, or however, I don't know how long the ministry's been around.
Thousands of memos flying
and
around.
There's just like for centuries there were just hundreds and hundreds of owls all over the place, and because they were just like, we just can't figure out a better way to do this when they have magic. Yeah, you're right. That's
yeah, and like, why doesn't the rest of the world adopt the like flying memo thing to like, so that way you don't have to like, waste the owl's time. You can just like magic your actual note and it zips through the air on over or something. Maybe it's a little more clandestine because owls are like, civilians might not be like, they see this like paper airplane like flying around.
Probably a good thing that you weren't editing J.K. Rowling's work, because you probably would have just been like, what, why would you do this? You know,
this is so dumb. Why would you just magic this? She's like, but this is a really cool idea.
It's a funny joke. We have to commit to the joke. Owl poop. What about the owl poop joke?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. You crazy millionaire.
Oh man.
Do whatever you want, I guess. Yeah, that's gonna do it for us today, everybody. That was a really fun Q&A. We love doing those episodes.
Yeah, thank you for submitting the questions.
And of course, we do have the Friday Forwards channel in the Discord if you'd like to ask us anything on your mind. You can ask us really anything, but keep it to
anything.
Yeah, I mean, we'll answer it.
Yeah, so, like, we'll answer it. Yeah,
keep it PG-13, maybe.
Yeah,
you know? If you can. Just in the Discord in general, maybe keep it PG-13.
Right. We do have an Not Safe for Work channel.
We do, yeah.
You are going to
go wild. Yeah,
go there. You know,
go wild. But yeah, I'm gonna take off. I got some other stuff. I need to go read. I'm reading a bunch of different stuff.
I'm
right now.
Almost done with the second read through of your book, so I'm pretty stoked on that.
Oh man,
I'm gonna finish that bad boy.
Yeah, I'm reading The Trouble with Peace, the second book in Abercrombie's Age of Madness, and I like it more already than A Little Hatred, of just the way that the lay of the land and everything when that book ended. You know, it's just better.
Yep. I also started a Leviathan Falls this morning.
Same.
So.
Yeah.
Did you? Nice. Cool.
It's good. It's really good.
Very good. Yeah. Starting off like, okay, baby, let's do it. So I'm excited.
You can feel that James S.A. Corey is just like, okay, here's the last one.
Right.
Here we go.
Gotta hit it out of the park.
Yeah. And then also I'm reading. I finished Thunderhead. We'll have an episode on that very, very soon. Yeah. Thunderhead in the next couple days. Actually. Yeah. I like the ending quite a bit.
Yep.
So we've got the Toll left, and then we'll have just banged out Scythe. I mean,
yeah, dude, very quickly. And then fun read, and then we have
Red Rising,
and
Faithful in the Fallen. Yep. Yeah. We are going to be reading Red Rising and Faithful in the Fallen at the same time, and then hopefully we finish Red Rising around the same time that the last book comes out on July 6th, I believe, is when it comes out. And then after Red Rising, I think we're doing the Binti by Nnedi Okorafor, which should be really cool. And then the Bone Ships by...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool.
I'm so stoked. And then also, When Women Were Dragons, we're doing for the Patreon.
Yep, which that's in the next week or so. Everybody look out for that. And join the Patreon if you have the means, everybody. It's $3 a month. You get a bunch of different cool stuff. The Patreon is the place to be.
And it helps Evan and I out a ton.
So much. Anyway, I'm going to go, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. And of course, happy reading.
Bye, everybody.